Welcome in Mayakoba Golf Classic live chat on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel. This is presented by our friends over at Jock Market. We'll talk plenty about them in this show, but welcome in. Come on, the water's fine. We are here to talk about questions and answers, final thoughts for Mayakoba. We're here to talk about potential ownership, maybe a little bit about weather, whatever else comes up in the chat. So feel free, drop all of your questions in now. I'll do my best to get through as many of them as possible in the final week of the PGA Tour season until we get into the very, very short off season, just a couple of weeks. There'll be a couple of European Tour events, and then we'll be right back at it for the Tournament of Champions. Drop your comments, hit the like button for me. That's all I ask. If you have not subscribed to the Rick Run Good YouTube channel, what are you doing? Go ahead and do that while you're here. And then if there was ever a time you wanted to join RickRunGood.com, if you want to get access to all the tools that I'm going to show you throughout this live stream, now's the time. RickRunGood.com/Mexico. Whatever the winning score is in Mayakoba this week, I will refund you that percentage of your membership, 6 month or a year. It's the best deal. It's the only deal that I offer every single year. So have at it. All right. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this. Jesse wants to know, what do we think about Malnati this week? And let me just make sure I'm set up here. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Peter Malnati. Let's pull him up on our strokes gained database here, and I am going to I'll show you. So I have preconceived notions about Peter Malnati, and my analysis on him is generally speaking, he has what a lot of other guys maybe in his price range on DraftKings or maybe on his spot on the betting board that they don't have. And that's the actual real ability to pop up and finish in the top five. You know, the ability to go back-to-back at Sanderson Farms with a runner-up and at Shriners with a top five finish, with a fifth place finish. And he played well in Bermuda. I mean, the ball striking has been good this season. So I like Malnati more than a lot of his peers, right? It's not to say that he's a great player by any stretch of the imagination, but he's in the midst of a pretty good streak right now, and he at least has that popping ability. There are so many golfers who are, you know, constantly just finishing between 35th and 55th. That is of so little value in fantasy or in terms of betting them, right? If your guy finishes between 35th and 55th every week, you never win a bet on him, right? You're never going to win an outright. You're never going to cash a top 5, top 10, top 20 ticket. I at least like that Malnati at times, if he's going to be more volatile, would pop off here. Team Money, what up, Team Money, wants to know, how much would course history play this week? I think it plays pretty well, and I'll tell you that I'm not a big course history guy, and I can show you the course key stats here for El Chameleon Mayakoba Golf Classic. I'm not a big course history guy. In general, I like a lot of recent form, but when you compare this course and this event to other stops on the PGA Tour, you have to give more of a nod to course history this week than you do other weeks, and the reasons for that are we've only ever played the same course I think in like 12, 14 years. Every year this event has existed, El Chameleon has been the host. So already we've got a stretch of data that is really good and solid and complete. So that's part one. And then part two of this is that it has some unique factors to it. So if I scroll down to the key stats here, and I mentioned this on the Monday show, you know, driving accuracy being such an important stat this week, and where only 5 other courses on the PGA Tour are more important. I just tweeted out what those 5 other courses are. So you can go to my Twitter at RickRunGood and see what those 5 other events are. And when you take something that has such a unique feature like driving accuracy being so critically important, and you see winners here like Brian Gay, Fred Funk, Matt Kuchar, Brendan Todd, that I think you do have to say course history this week more than most weeks is important. Thank you for the question, Team Money. Tom wants to know, regarding your stats upgrade for next year, how about some type of injury report? I know that that isn't a stat, but it's important to us degenerate gamblers out here. Yes. So first of all, thank you, Tom. So what Tom's alluding to is I've been saying this for a couple weeks now. The 3 weeks off of the PGA Tour schedule, that is my time to revamp a lot of the tools and a lot of the things that I wanted to do throughout the year. This gives me an opportunity to do that. I've already started loading in millions and millions of more data points. Literally, I'm not exaggerating that. It's the PGA Tour going back even further than I have and being more complete than what I have. It is European Tour data. So I'm already in the process of loading in all of these great data points. So now if you do want to take advantage of the RickRunGood.com/Mexico deal, now would be a good time. So you asked about injury reports. I found this to be difficult for a couple of reasons, and I know some sites have offered this, like, Roto World has tried to do this in the past. I know Fantasy Data has tried to do this in the past, and actually Fantasy Data discontinued this. And the only reason is these guys are not required to disclose anything. They are not required to tell us why they withdrew. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they give us a reason. They say it was a back injury, wrist injury, whatever. But they also don't have to take questions, or they don't have to provide us with an update of their level of participation, right? In the NFL, how often was this guy at practice over the course of the week? That's reported. Teams have to disclose that. We're not getting injury reports from Justin Thomas about how many rounds of golf he played in the last couple of weeks. So while in theory, I believe that is a really great tool, I would be concerned about how accurate it would be. And to put my name on something that I really don't know how accurate I could even make that has me concerned. So I love the idea, Tom. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something we can figure out, but I would be concerned about it. Brody wants to know, who is my pick to win and who is a good top 10 lock? I went with, Abraham Answer. I'm kind of on the record, whether it's on Golf Digest or on the First Cut podcast that I host, which is the CBS Sports Podcasting Network, on the record with Abraham Answer. I just feel as if this natural progression that we're getting from Answer, and he's going to be popular this week in terms of ownership. He's played well here in the past. He's coming off a 13th place finish at the Masters. He's a real competitor. He's a short hitter, but accurate hitter, which should be great for El Chameleon. So I'm on record. That's like my pick to win. Top 10 lock. I kind of do this a little bit differently. If you want a top 10 lock, probably Hovland, right? Like that's where I would go. A guy where you're like, I feel most comfortable about this. Also based on the odds. I mean, if I just feel most comfortable, it would just be Justin Thomas. But all things considered, Hovland. But I like to go deeper than that for my top 10s. I like to get guys like Russell Knox. So Russell Knox is, I believe, 6-1 to finish in the top 10. And we've seen him do that here at Mayakoba 3 times in his last 4 trips. He played well at Bermuda. He played well at Houston. If we're looking for ball strikers, that falls into Russell Knox's wheelhouse as well. So those would be the guys I'd be focusing on for winning and top 10 locks. Tyler wants to know thoughts on Robby Shelton using the stuff on the site. He popped a few times and seems interesting. I'll tell you what, I've not really considered Robby Shelton at any point this week, so we can look at this together. So this is the strokes gain database here. So I'm looking at his last handful of starts in terms of strokes gained. So he played well at the 3M Open. He's missed a bunch of cuts since there. 21st place finish at the CJ Cup. So those are results. Then I start looking at how he's playing. There's a lot of red on this screen. I can see that at least from tee to green in 3 of his last 4 starts, he's gained strokes. Not enough to overcome, a missed cut in Houston because the putter was so poor. I got to tell you, I don't have as much faith in Robby Shelton as you might, Tyler, but that's okay. If there's something that you see here, or maybe he fits a lineup or something like that, I just think he's very average. I think the results are showing that. I think that his play recently is showing that. I mean, look at his. So this is a really cool tool that I like, where this is the last 5 years, if I have it, depending on how much Robby Shelton data I have. I got stuff back to 2015. It shows their aggregate strokes gained, and this guy lives within basically average, right? I mean, if we take this to Webb Simpson, I'll give you a really good example of like how this should look if a guy's constantly gaining over time. Yeah, like Webb Simpson gained strokes on approach every single week. So these are his running strokes gained. And this is when Webb Simpson became a great player, right? When he figured out the putter. So to see Robby Shelton be like the most average player on the PGA Tour, it's fine. It doesn't get me too excited. Other than a cold putter, is there a cause for concern for Shea Reve? I liked him a lot until I saw him pop up on your top fades. Yeah, so the reason that he was a fade for me, and I'll show you this in a couple of different places. So right here, he was in the 7K range, and I have him projected around 10% ownership, right? So that right there gives me a little bit of pause. And then also, I think the idea of the Ches Reavie is better than the actual Ches Reavie, if that makes sense. So we know for like 15 years, the guy has just pounded fairways and pounded greens, right? I mean, he's very accurate. He's not very long off the tee. It's not as good recently, right? I mean, some of the numbers of him hitting fairways, I feel like have dropped over the past couple, maybe 18 months or so. You're seeing he's in a really bad spot with the putter, which is not something we've seen from him. You know, this putter is really holding him back, and you guys know more than most. Like I'm usually okay buying in on these bad putting performances, but we're starting to get to the point where Reavie might be lost. So that's my concern. Cold putter. I don't think he's hitting as many fairways, as many greens as I would like to see, but mostly an ownership thing. Tokyo Swan. 2 questions. Is Rickie Fowler getting slept on this week? And is Vaughn Taylor worth throwing in a couple of lineups? We'll start with Rickie Fowler, who I have to be projected as basically the lowest owned golfer over $9,000. So in one sense, yes, he's being slept on because I don't believe he's going to be very popular. But I guess maybe the bigger question is there a reason for that? And I think the reason is that he doesn't have any good results, right? His last top 10, I think, was, well, I guess I can pull it up, but American Express, where he finished T10 and he was your 36-hole leader. So even that was kind of a disappointment. We know he's been struggling through the swing changes. We know he's got a new putter in the bag that's a completely different style. I mean, yes, to answer your question, he's being slept on, but I believe it to be warranted. We'll see. I think 2021 is going to be a really important year for Rickie Fowler, quite honestly. He's going to be one of these guys who drops out of, unless something good happens this week, probably drops out of the top 50 in the official World Golf Rankings. Even if he doesn't, probably going to be his worst year-end finish in the World Golf Rankings. So yeah, big year, interesting year, important year coming for Rickie Fowler. And then is Vaughn Taylor worth throwing in a couple of lineups? Interesting. I don't even know. Vaughn Taylor, what is he? Okay, 7,100. He's right here, 7,100. He's missed the cut in 3 of his last 4 events. I guess maybe because he's got some good history around here. So that's where you have to wrestle with yourself, Tokyo Swan. I kind of said course history this week more than most should come into play. Here's a guy with good course history, bad recent form. So that would be the argument for Vaughn Taylor. If you're cool with that, I'm cool with that. Excuse me. Almost choked there. Okay. What do you think about Harris English and Daniel Berger? Good question, Brody. Sorry, I'm working through this here. Excuse me. So Berger, I think, is the guy. I think Berger's the most interesting one here, right? And he hasn't been as good. Remember in the restart, he was just absolutely phenomenal. He won a Colonial. He was basically finishing in the top 10 everywhere. And he was gaining strokes in all 4 categories. He faltered a bit, at least by those standards, the last couple of weeks that we saw him. Now he's still posting T17 at Zozo. That's a deep field, difficult course. Or I'm sorry, Sherwood. I'm thinking of Shadow Creek. But Sherwood, it can bite back at times. It's kind of gettable though. So I think he's the most interesting because there's this built-in recency bias against Daniel Berger. So many owners, look at what a guy did last week or the week before or the last time they played. Berger hasn't played since the Zozo. I mean, it's just so far out of everyone's memory. That's the most interesting. English is just, he's English, right? He's on brand. He gains strokes everywhere. He's probably, him and Berger, I mean, these are probably 1 and 2 in terms of the most underrated golfers on the PGA Tour. It's probably not even close at the moment. So I'm fine with both of them. I prefer Berger, who I have checking in at about 5% less ownership. And I just think that there's a recency kind of bias against him. Okay, real quick, while I have your guys' attention, hit the like button for me. It goes a long way, gets this out to as many people as possible, which helps me do a lot more of this stuff. And then also, this is the perfect time to get into Jock Market. If you have not played, and like literally this time, like 12:15 Pacific time, like the perfect time, because they are not only running a cash market this week for the Mayakoba Golf Classic, but literally I think there's still 15 minutes left of IPO for the Wednesday NFL game that's going on right now. So Steelers versus Ravens. So that game is a cash market. So if you don't know what Jock Market is, it is stock market DFS. I get a ton of messages about how people are loving it. I'm loving it. You can buy actual real shares of golfers for real dollars and watch it change over time. You can do it for football too and watch it change over the course of a game. You can sell, you can buy in the midst of a tournament, in the midst of a game, which is absolutely phenomenal. It seems like things are going really well for them. I hope that they are. I'm getting a lot of messages like Scott Hightower. I'm sure he's fine with me saying that, considering he tweeted it at me. He told me he deposited $50. He now has $1,000 in his account because he's been running it up in cash markets. He's been running it up playing their free contests, which pay out real money. It's just awesome. I love it. And I was scrolling through some of the options for the Mayakoba Golf Classic right now. So IPOs open right now. So there are 2 IPOs open right now on Jock Market. NFL, which that one ends in like 15 minutes. So if you should download it right now and go play, use the code RICK10. They'll put an extra $10 in your account. And then I get credit for it, which is nice, right? Helps me, helps you, helps everybody. So you can get your Ravens Steelers action in right now. It has not started yet. I've got a TV right over here. And then I was looking at some of the guys for IPO, and this really is a buy low, sell high game, right? So there's a lot of things that translate. So like Rickie Fowler on Jock Market right now, because we just talked about Rickie, he's only $2.96. He's the 18th most expensive golfer at the moment. That price is obviously going to go up over the course of the day, but that's someone I'd keep an eye on. And as much as I have kind of faded Rickie this week in a stock market scenario where if he goes out and finishes well and increases his stock price to $25, $20, $18, and you just have a couple of shares of him, I think that's a pretty decent way to spend your money as guys with high upside. So scrolling through, that's what I look for. Peter Malnati's $2.66 at the moment. He's someone we've already talked about. Victor Hovland, all right, this is going to go up. Victor Hovland's $2.50 on Jock Market right now. I'm actually going to put a bid in on that right now, because that's absolutely crazy. So I'm going to put a proxy bid in. I'm not going to tell you what it is so that you don't outbid me, but I'm going to put some bids in on Victor Hovland at the moment. Submit order, and there we go. So I've got some bids in on Victor Hovland. Great company. I know you guys have been enjoying playing, and I enjoy supporting them. So please join me in that. Rick10 is the promo code if you want to get 10 extra free dollars. Okay, where was I? Talked about Berger. Adam Hadwin has not been very good, but he's been an accurate driver and easily the best player priced as low as he is. I might take exception with that. How low is he? Can't be this low. How low is Adam? Oh, 7,200. No, he is not by far the best player that he is listed with. So, I mean, I like Malnati better. Perez, who I'm also fading, has at least better course history. The thing with Hadwin, and I've mentioned this a couple times this week, and, you know, he hasn't been as good in 2021, but the idea of Adam Hadwin is that he is a good ball striker and that he can get a hot putter. That's the idea, the theory behind Adam Hadwin. Unfortunately, it hasn't been all that true. So you can see here, since the Northern Trust, he has lost strokes on approach 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his last 7 tournaments. And he missed the cut at the Masters, but we don't have strokes gain data from that. So that is not the version of Adam Hadwin that we all have in our brains. That's not the version of Adam Hadwin that shoots a 59 at the American Express, right? It's not him. And if that's not going to be the version of him, and also he's not really even putting all that well. So unfortunately, Hadwin is a kind of a shell of himself at the moment, especially because, and this is a big thing, and I mentioned this about Reeve too, is like our perception of these golfers is so locked in because we see them over many years. if you just look at what he's doing recently, you would not ever expect this to be Adam Hadwin. So you really have to kind of recalibrate, use the tools, go in, check everything out. Drew the Baller, what up, Drew? Says, JJ Spawn, so many good and bad stats. What do you think? So I think he's had good history here. Maybe that's the good. And I think he has like a top 10 somewhere recently. Let me check. Yeah, okay. So he opened up at Safeway with a top 10. A lot of missed cuts since, or not since, but like in his last, I mean, that top 10 is his only finish in the top 30 since the 2019 Rocket Mortgage. So that to me looks like an outlier. I'm probably out on JJ Spawn. Milton asks a good question. Is there a certain amount of chalk guys you would play in a lineup, like a total percentage ownership for a lineup combined or anything like that? Okay, so let's do this. It's a good conversation to get us into ownership projections for this week. So there's a couple of, okay, I have a lot of thoughts about this. I should probably just make another video about it. The idea of a combined ownership for a lineup depends on the type of contest that you're in. So if you are in a contest with 1 million people, you probably want to have a lower combined ownership. Maybe in something like that, maybe 40%, 60%. So if you're at 60%, that means like all 6 of your golfers would be around 10% owned. It makes you much more unique. It gives you an opportunity. If one of those guys goes off, you're benefiting much greater than the rest of the field is. So maybe you're talking about 60%. Maybe in most contests, 80% would be better. When you start to get around 100, that's pretty chalky, right? That would be every golfer being 16% owned. That's pretty chalky. So I like to keep it 60, 80, somewhere in there. But also if I'm trending towards the 80 side, maybe I'm leaving some money on the table so that maybe I have a unique lineup. You know, there's a couple different ways we can do that, but that's the kind of range that I would stay in, Milton, which we can kind of talk through. So like if you have, so here are the guys that I have projected to be very highly owned this week. Justin Thomas, I have him at about 22.5%. Abraham Answer 23, Corey Connors 22. Those are out of the gate, the 3 most popular golfers. And then you start going down and finding, these natural spots where someone else might, where you'd want to fill in a spot here. So Pat Perez, Denny McCarthy in the low 7s, 13% owned apiece. Brian Stewart, 11% in the high 6s. Wesley Bryan in the mid 6s. Seems like he's garnering a lot of ownership. Now, I don't even know if you could build a lineup like this. Probably not. But I don't think you'd want to put in a JT Answer Corey Connors lineup. Probably can't even do it. And also you'd be very chalky, right? So that's kind of the process that I'm going through. Keep it to like 60%, something like that, I think would be great. The more you like, the higher you go, leave more money on the table. Is there a reason you're sleeping on Billy Ho? Could you check out his stats for us? He's only missed 7 cuts in his last 50 starts. Sure, let's look. Let's look at Billy Ho. Billy Horschel for those following along at home. So this is kind of the golfer that I was referencing that Peter Malnati is not. The cuts are great, right? So what did you say? 7 cuts in his 43 out of his last 50. That's great, but what is it? It's a lot of 35th to 55th place finishes. One great finish at Workday, great finish here at Wyndham. Of course, he pops off at times, but it's just a lot of kind of meh, right? Just the kind of lukewarm stuff. I guess there might be some value to this, but I don't know what it is. I think we're past the point of, well, maybe not, especially with the new cut rules in PGA DFS, where you're just trying to make the cut. Like, I'm trying to get guys who are going to win. I'm trying to get guys who are going to finish in the top 10. Not a lot of that from Billy Horschel, but he's a great cut maker, so he has that going for him. Oh, boy. I'm already playing Griot at 80. I just lost my spot. This happens constantly. I'm already playing Griot at 8.3. I have 8.5 left. Who else do you like sway me? Probably not going to sway you. You should spend your 8,500 and then whatever the entry fee of it is, you should spend that however you want. That's not for me to spend your money. However, for the exercise, if I have $8,500 left and I already have Griot in my lineup, I think Brian Harman's kind of interesting, right? Brian Harman missed a cut. And Brian Harman, when a guy misses a cut, especially someone who's not like a household name like a Rory or a Justin Thomas or whatever, I just think he gets forgotten a little bit. And I think he had made like 11 in a row before that. He had a couple of top 20 finishes in there. Not a very long hitter, right? So this should be a better spot for him than maybe the Sea Island courses were. I would probably consider Brian Harman there. That's just, as much as I like Munoz, he misses a lot of fairways. So again, not trying to sway you, but that's probably how I would spend my money. Jay-Z says, yo, my man Rick B wants to know if she should sprinkle a little Will Zalatoris in her DK lineups. Thanks, Jay. Yes, Beyonce probably should sprinkle a little Will Zalatoris into her lineups. He hasn't played since Bermuda. He's got, four top 20s in his 5 starts this year. I believe Will Zalatoris is the next up-and-comer, right? We have so many of these conversations about Matthew Wolff and Morikawa and Hovland, and Zalatoris is just the next class. He is the absolute real deal. Great ball striker. I mean, we can go to the Holy Grail. This might be the longest. We might be 25 minutes into a live chat, and it took us that long to get to the Holy Grail, which is by far my favorite tool on RickRunGood.com. So here's what we can do. I'm going to try to sort this by, let's do there's no point in doing the restart. I could do the restart just to show you like other golfers with a bigger sample size, but Zalatoris isn't going to have a sample size here. But what I'm going to show you is this. Let me see if I can do this right. Yeah, here we go. So since the restart, in terms of strokes gained total, no one in this field has been better than Will Zalatoris. No one. Now, of course, the caveat is he only has 10 measured rounds. Justin Thomas, who is next, has 50 measured rounds, 5 times as many. So take it for what it's worth, but the small sample size, really good for Will Zalatoris, and also the way he's doing it from tee to green. Oh, by the way, number 1 in tee to green in those 10 rounds since the restart. So, yeah, tell Beyonce that she should be sprinkling in some Willie Z into her lineups. Thoughts on these dart throws in the top, 4 top 10s. My bad. Perez, Oppenheim, Gligic. Oof. I don't like Perez this week. However, if we're strictly talking top 10s, I think it has to be him, right? I mean, you need a guy who at least has, like Gligic, I like to make the cut. Gligic's a great cut maker. Oppenheim, he's fine, whatever. But like if you're talking about legit top 10 upside, it probably has to be Pat Perez based on that question. Because he's got 3 top 10s here in his last 4 years. I told you how important course history is here more than most. So as much as I don't like Pat Perez this week, if we're talking about these 3 names with dart throws for top 10s, has to be JG. Greg says, good afternoon, Rick. Smash the like button and subscribe. Greg is the man, number 1. And number 2, he's absolutely right. Like and subscribe goes a long way. Thank you very much. Max upside for Keegan and Kazire this week with regards to finishing position. Man, do you want me to just like do this off the top of my head? I imagine, so let's look at, let's do this. Let me see if I can find, Kazire's been better. I'll say that. So he was on a really, really bad stretch of golf. I sounded like Tiger there. Did you hear that? Really. He always says that. Things are really hard out there. Here's what Kazire has going for him. 2 back-to-back top 10 finishes, essentially. One was an 11th, one was a 10th. Especially after this run of golf, from basically the RSM last year to the start of this season, he was absolutely terrible. The concern is 8 strokes putting. Gaining 8 strokes putting in a week and only finishing 10th is kind of terrifying. Losing 3.3 strokes, like that scares me. But I think his upside might be higher than Keegan's. Let's call Kazire's upside 12th place and Keegan's, I don't know. Keegan kind of pops at times. Well, not really. Only recently. 15th at RSM, 4th at Sanderson Farms. Let's call Keegan's like 16th. If Kazire's 11th or whatever I said, Keegan's is probably 16th. Although I think that like Kazire's much more likely to crash and burn here, right? Like if he loses 4 strokes from tee to green and he doesn't gain 8 strokes putting, he's in big, big trouble. At least Keegan is a good ball striker. Scott would like to know, Scott says, we've seen golfers with poor recent history and poor stats pull it together and win a golf tournament. Who are the potential bust outers this week? So I assume we're referring to Jim Harman, and I assume we're referring to Brian Gay. Brian Gay is withdrawn, by the way, so don't play Brian Gay. But let me show you how crazy something like that is. Because it's absolutely nuts. So Brian Gay, before his win, lost strokes on approach in, 12 consecutive events, missed the cut in 16 of 20, 15 of 20, something like that. So I'd be lying to you if I said anybody saw this coming, let alone me seeing this coming. Didn't happen. If there is a guy like that for this week, I don't know who it's going to be. Let's try Brian Stewart. So Stewart's someone that I think I mentioned on Monday who has been very bad, right? Missing the cut in 4 out of these 5. And then his last 5, he has 3 missed cuts and 2 50th place finishes. The thing about Brian Stewart though, is he's good for like twice a year, 3 times a year, finishing inside the top 5. He did it at Safeway, did it at Shriners last year. And this is a short course and he's a short hitter. And there's really only a couple times a year you can use Brian Stewart. So I have no idea, Scott. It is going to be nearly impossible to try to figure out who that golfer is. But if you made me pick one, let's call it Brian Stewart. Let's look at the weather for this week. Here's the forecast for Mayakoba, for Playa del Carmen. And what you're seeing here is basically a chance of thunderstorms every single day. Now, there's not a ton of precipitation in the forecast here, but this could disrupt some things, and it could make conditions very soft. And I also don't see a lot of wind. Thursday morning is probably the windiest it's going to be all week. We're talking about 10 miles an hour. Not too much. Never really seeing gusts. Of course, this can change. It's right on the water. This can change all the time. But right now, it looks like a wettish, soft shootout, quite honestly. So the RickRunGood.com/Mexico promotion that I'm running, where the winning score dictates how much you get back on your membership. I might get taken to the bank this week. This might get to 25 under, 30 under par. Of course, all of this can change, but it's a resort course. It looks like it's going to be soft. I'm a little bit nervous for my outcome here. I don't think I'm going to get lucky and get like a 12 under par winning score. Tom Brady's butt chin is back. Thank you, Tom. Good afternoon. Good to see you. Who is the worst putter on tour, Grillo or Villegas? So we can look at them. So Grillo has a much more established record of being a poor putter, right? So here's Grillo, who you can see like since the end of 2018 has just been brutally bad and just loses strokes putting nearly every single week. Look at 5, 5, 5, 5. Just loses. It's just so terrible. Villegas is a much smaller sample, but I actually think he was worse, right? So let's pull this up. Well, he was worse at Houston, but yeah, I guess Emiliano is I would call him worse because he's done it for longer. He's just been bad for longer. Take on Austin Cook. I don't think I have a take on Austin Cook. I really don't. He's fine. If you like him, I like him. I'm not playing him. I'm not excited about it. He pops once or twice a year. I don't think there's much evidence in when it's going to come. I don't have much to say on him. What's a good resource for round by round strokes gained? Chris, first of all, great question. You and I should go on the road and be like traveling salesmen, because that's a perfect segue to tell you that the answer to this is my live leaderboard. My live leaderboard is free. It is here at RickRunGood.com. Now here's the problem with this, Chris. There's no shot link data this week. So the PGA Tour does not take the lasers to every event on the PGA Tour. they usually they only do it in the United States, right? So when they go to Puerto Rico, they don't take them. When they go to Mayakoba, they don't take them. So that stinks. So there is no strokes gained data round by round, shot by shot this week. But this tool, this resource, live leaderboard, again, it's free. It updates every 15 minutes during a tournament. So you can see this is the RSM leaderboard, and you can sort by, whatever round that you want or any multiple rounds you want. You can search by whatever player that you want, and you can sort these by column. So this is a really good resource, but unfortunately, if there's no shot link data to use, there's nothing to show. So sorry about that. Who's my one and done? I've narrowed my one and done down to two guys. One is Abraham Answer, who I've spoken about quite often. The other is Victor Hovland. And, Hovland's lone win coming on Paspalum greens, like we're going to get here in Playa del Carmen, is interesting. And he's playing well. I don't know if I'd want to save either of those guys. I think it's just a matter of, do I want to be the chalky guy they both might be pretty popular, but I believe Answer to be likely the most popular selection. So do I want to have the most popular selection? Do I want to try to pivot just a little bit? But I expect both of them to be pretty often. How often does the favorite win? Not that often. So not that often. It doesn't happen. So I used to have the numbers on this. So forgive me, Bill. I would have to run the numbers on this, and maybe this is a good off-season content piece that I can do. I want to say about half of the winners on the PGA Tour in the last year came from 20-1 and under. So that could be 5 guys. It could be 3 guys, depending on the week. So with half of them coming deeper than that, the favorite doesn't win that often, right? I mean, even if you think about a guy that's, 7-1, which is super short, what's he going to win? 12% of the time, it just doesn't happen. So Matthew, so I'm behind on the chat. So Matthew, we covered the weather. I do not believe that there is an optimal time slot. I don't think there's going to be a big difference between, AM, PM waves. Third straight tournament from Brian Gay that he's withdrawn midweek. Do we know what is going on? Seems weird if it's not disclosed as COVID. I will tell you what's going on. If I'm Brian Gay, I just won $1 million, and there's a couple of tournaments at the end of the year that I don't think I need to play anymore. So I'm just going to WD. I have no idea. I don't know what's going on. That's what I would be doing. And I would just say, I'll see you at the Tournament of Champions, guys. I'll see you in Maui. I'm going to have a couple of weeks off because I never get to take off because I never win. That's what I would be saying if I was Brian Gay. I have no idea why he's withdrawn. Again, that goes back to a comment earlier that's like, hey, we should have injury reports on these guys. They don't have to disclose this stuff, so it's going to be hard to do. You and Pat Mayo should rank all the 30 golfers out of 10. Oh, out of 10. Got it. I thought you wanted us to rank the top 30 or top 10. Yeah, maybe. There's going to be a lot of off-season content, both on RickRunGood YouTube channel, also on the First Cut podcast, CBS Sports golf podcast that I host. And then also, I'm sure, if Pat wants to do something, I'm always up. I'm always game if I can make it happen. What's up, Rick? Hope all are healthy and safe. John, Brandon, Bo, thank you. Hope the same for you. We need an insider tip like when Kokrak won at Shadow Creek. What do I have? Oh, my insider tip. I don't know if I have one this week. I think that the Brendan Todd thing, his broken toe, I think it's a lot better. I think Todd's going to play well this week. It's not really an inside tip. It's more of a hunch with kind of an inside tip. Not really a tip. It was more of an inside conversation that I had. I think it might be Todd. I don't know. We'll see. What do I think of Garnett? I don't think much. I mean, I can show you his stats if that's where we want to go, but he's another guy just like what Austin Cook that I have like this does nothing for me. This Bryce Garnett, where it's been almost a full year. I mean, when's the last time he had a top 10? Wyndham of 2019. Can he pop? I mean, one of his best finishes was here in Mayakoba, but if your best finish in the is a year ago, that's troublesome. So just doesn't move the needle for me. If he moves it for you, all good. Chris Kirk. How much is Chris Kirk this week? 75? Seems kind of steep, although he's played well here. I have not even remotely considered Chris Kirk. Let's look. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing you the stats. My bad. Man, as much as I'd love to see success from Chris Kirk, we're not seeing a lot of it, right? A lot of miscuts, nothing inside the top 15. Played well at RSM, though. If you want to take... So I do think that there's a merit to being like, trying to be super early, using a small sample size, trying to be super early. If you think that RSM week sparks something, you should play him. But that's really the only reason you could get behind it. There's not much other evidence except trying to be early. Fun question for a future pod. Who's going to have a better career when it's all said and done, Rory or DJ? That is fun. Probably Rory's younger, and they have... Rory's probably a couple wins behind, right? DJ's up to, 24? Rory has, 18-ish? Something like that. Rory obviously has more majors. Would be fun. Probably still Rory because he's got so many years left. Berger needs another restart. I don't know if Christmas counts. That's actually very funny, Jesse. Yeah, what if he just, gets a shutdown every couple of months and then goes out and wins the next one? Pretty cool. Sorry, just making sure I don't lose my spot here, which I kind of did. Don't send the same question multiple times. I'm getting to it because now I've lost my spot. Hold on. We did the Brian Gay one. Berger restart. Okay, here we go. Love your stuff, Rick. Thanks for all the information. Thank you, Taylor. Much appreciated on the support. How do I feel about Scott Piercy, Ryan Armour? Piercy's probably better, right? So Piercy's played better. And he has good history here, right? So let's pull this up. So here's Piercy, 3 top 20s in his last 4, and doing it in a pretty good way. Ball striking's fine, looks good. And then I also believe he has good course history here. So we can go find Scott Piercy. Yeah, so here's his last 3 trips, 26th, 6th, and 4th. I don't know if he's played here more than that. Let's look. Yeah, he has. He played here a lot. So last 4 he's made the cut. All 4 of them are inside the top 26. Missed 2 cuts, but they were 2014 and 2011. Sorry, I forgot I wasn't showing you the same thing again. So here's Piercy's course history. So I would prefer Piercy over top of Armour. Rick is the man. No, Chico, you are the man. Is it time to buy the John Huh hype? I think it might be. So I like John Huh, and what you have to remember is we have a really, really small sample size on him, but, and he's coming off a major medical, right? So when you are playing on a major medical, you're obviously super motivated, but I like his game. We saw the ability to gain a ton on approach at Shriners, average in every category, but finds a way to make the cut in Houston. A little bit worried about this putting number, but I'm okay with John Huh. I want to see more from him. I think it's pretty good. Clark wants to know, as the resident Jock Market expert, do you know when Canadians will be able to play? I thought they were. I thought it was certain areas of Canada. I think, do not quote me on this. Some provinces are different than others in their laws or regulations. I have no idea. I'm actually going to have, I want to have Dave from Jock Market on, and I want to ask him these questions, and I want to see what's next. So if I get him on, I will ask him that. We'll get down to the bottom of it. If I'm only picking one, who do I like, Henley or Neiman? Probably still has to be Henley. As much as I like Neiman, probably still has to be Henley. Answer that. Oh, Tom Brady's butt chin with a question. Okay, Tom Brady's butt chin. He wants to know about Christopher Ventura. Pretty nice that you can type Tom Brady's butt chin. Christopher Ventura. So, here's a guy that we were super stoked about, like at the end of last year, and especially starting off in 2021, because, he comes from that Oklahoma State team that we all know and love. He comes from, he's got this great pedigree, finishes well at Puerto Rico, plays well at the Rocket Mortgage. Then he starts off Safeway this year, 7th, and we're like, oh my God, it's happening. It's finally happening. It's been okay since. Sanderson Farms, he played great. He's missed 3 of his last 4 cuts. He didn't play all that well in Houston, and he lost strokes in 3 categories. I think you have to remember that these guys are like 22 years old, right? So long-term, Tom Brady's butt chin, I really like Christopher Ventura. I think his game will continue to mature. In the short term, I think you're going to get a lot of this. You're going to get a lot of really volatile results. Ben Roethlisberger taking the field in this football game. How crazy is this? There's a football game on a Wednesday. Absolutely nuts. So I've got about, let's call it 15 more minutes here. Any more questions in the chat about anything you want? Let's open it up. If you want to talk golf, you want to talk about football, I don't know much. You want to talk about business, whatever you want to talk about, throw it in there. And let me see if I can get through some more of these questions. Gim or Straka? Gim. I like Gim. Is it true that the winning score... All right. Gerard says, is it true that if the winning score is 10 over, we have to send you 10% more than our 1-year subscription? Yes. Yeah, you have to send it to me. If it's 10 over, you have to send me 10% more. I'll send you a bill. I'll invoice you. Could you imagine? That would be so good. What's a good price for Munoz on DK? Lately, it's hard to buy him. Yeah, he's been good, right? I mean, he's been good. I think as much as I love him, and he's been in a lot of my lineups, dating back to the end of last season, and he's paid off. The problem this week is he misses so many fairways, and accuracy is such an important one. So he's 8,500. If he was, and he shouldn't be priced at 79, but if he was priced at 79, I'd probably be more interested in it. But yeah, it's just a tough spot for him. I actually kind of hope, like selfishly, I kind of hope he misses the cut this week, and then we see him at, I guess he'll play Tournament of Champions, right? Because this year, Tournament of Champions will also be guys who made the Tour Championship. So all those guys get the invite. So Munoz will play. So then I hope we get Munoz in like a 37-man field with no cut at like 72. So that's like what I'm hoping for Munoz out of the next 2 weeks. Like miss the cut and then get him at Tournament of Champions super cheap. I would like to upgrade to a 6-month membership this week, current month to month. How do I do that? So Tom, here's the best way. Take advantage of the Mexico promo. Go to rickrungood.com/Mexico. Sign up for either a 6-month or a yearly. Then if you're an existing member, just send me an email, rick@rickrungood.com. Shoot me an email. I will manually adjust your membership so that you're not paying twice for the same thing. And then after Mayakoba and we figure out what the winning score is, I will refund that percentage. Everybody can go there and take advantage. 20-1 opening on Monday, I presume. I don't know. I might have missed the original question. I'm not sure what that was. Did I already talk about Finau? No, I didn't actually. And it's interesting. I had this conversation with Greg Ducharme on the First Cut podcast. I just think there's not much to talk about with Tony Finau. I think he's exactly what we expect him to be, which is he's going to be great from tee to green. He's going to he's going to contend quite a bit, and then he's going to maybe melt down on Sundays. And I think it's just going to be very on brand. So I'm not sure how we're going to designate between really good weeks and bad weeks for Finau moving forward. I just think you're going to either be a Finau guy or you're not. So no, I didn't talk about Finau. So apologies for that, but I don't think there's that much interesting to talk about with him. State of Golf says, I like Wesley Bryant. I kind of do too. I talked about it on Monday. These guys that have good approach games and can catch a hot putter. Wes Bryant, Cam Piercy, for example, who are super cheap. I find them to be more valuable this week than most weeks. So I too like Wesley Bryant. Stewart or Duncan? Probably Stewart for me. This is the last tournament. Oh, yes, that is true. In segment 1 of the Rick Run Good One and Done. Good job, Tim. That is correct. What would your strategy be if you are in 20th to 30th and trying to make a top 10? Don't take Answer and don't take Hovland. You should be trying to, you got to make up a little bit of ground, right? Those guys are going to be incredibly popular. I would consider someone like, if you haven't used Will Zalatoris, if you haven't used Russell Henley, if you haven't used Joaquin Niemann, if you haven't used Corey Connors, those would be names that I would consider that would be still as like top 10 options, but will maybe be on the less owned side, I would think. Jesse, I think Jock Market is on Android yet. I saw a tweet, and I think I retweeted it, that they are now on Android. So I would double check that. Jock Market should be on Android. Thoughts on extra motivation for guys near the top 10 in the official World Golf Rankings? Ryan, great question. Love this stuff. So what he's even talking about is if you are in the top 50 of the official World Golf Rankings at the end of the calendar year, that is one way to get an invite to Augusta National. That's one way to punch your ticket to the Masters. So the guys like Rickie Fowler, who enters this week 49th in the official World Golf Rankings, would love to solidify his spot with a good week and make sure that he gets in now. There are obviously going to be opportunities to get in later. You can, I think March 29th is the next deadline if you're in the top 50 of the official World Golf Rankings, or if you win a golf tournament before then, you're obviously in. But guys want to get it done now. They don't want to have to worry about it, especially for Rickie Fowler, who's trending in the wrong direction. All that being said, thoughts on extra motivation? Going to be impossible to really get into every single guy's head individually. I think there is plenty of motivation on the PGA Tour on a regular basis. Let me make sure I don't have a mic issue here. Okay, I think I'm good. So I think there's plenty of motivation on a normal week. They're playing for millions of dollars every single week. There's a lot on the line in terms of FedEx Cup points and all that stuff. I don't know if they can just flip this motivation switch all of a sudden and turn it on if the game's not in good shape. I love the idea of it. I just don't know how we'd ever be able to quantify it, and you guys know I love to quantify it. What are your thoughts on starting your lineup with Answer and Ortiz, DFS Chef? Thank you. Nice to see you in the chat. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? So Carlos Ortiz, so I have Answer at a very highly owned 23%. That's my projection. Carlos Ortiz at 11. Carlos Ortiz won in his last start. Carlos Ortiz finished second here last year. I'm glad you brought him up, DFS Chef, because that just shows how overlooked he is this week. I think this is a pretty good spot for him. Just go Mexican, go Mexico to start the lineup would be pretty cool. Do I have a PS4 PGA 2K21 group? No. The Run Good Tour that I ran during quarantine and during shutdown, as much as I would love to keep it going, it was just too much. It was just too much with the day job. So I am out on that. But if you ever see me on, happy to play with you. But there is not a society. Joel Damon popping in models. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, he's trying to get back to that form where before the restart, he was just absolutely piling up top 10s and top 20s all over the place, getting very close to that again. I do think Damon's in the right direction. What is in the bag for Rick? Okay. I played Torrey Pines on Sunday, which was awesome. And so here's what I have in the bag. I have an M2, TaylorMade M2, which I cannot hit. It's a driver that I cannot hit, but I'm getting better with. I also carry the TaylorMade Original One Mini driver. That's the thing that allows me to hit much more fairways. I hit it a lot more consistently, but I'm trying to figure out the driver. I have the Callaway, what are they? The XR or the X Hots or whatever irons, which I got custom fit for a couple of years ago. They have graphite shafts, which I never thought would work for me, but they do. I love them. I've got a myriad of wedges. I've got like 2 Vokeys in the bag and a Callaway wedge. And then I've got the Odyssey 7S kind of Xander style putter that I roll. So that's what's in the bag. And I play Vice balls because I can't tell the difference between most balls, and I like the way that those Vices feel, and I like that I can get my dog's face on them. Hey, Rick, any advice for picking players for a new year fantasy league? Here's the number one thing about any fantasy league, any pool, any contest, anything that you are getting into: know the rules. I know that sounds crazy, but so many people don't understand the rules. Like, do you draft players? Is it just like raw scoring? Like Sung J Im might be a top pick because he plays so much. He might be better than a guy who only plays 16 times a year. Like, just know your rules. Of course, I can't, unless you're going to drop your rules in here, I don't know what to tell you specifically, but the number one thing that I see go wrong for most people is that they do not know the rules. Back to the well with Denny McCarthy. Sure. Listen, I don't know if this is a great week for him. I think that, the trajectory of Denny McCarthy's game is so strong I think he's going to win. I don't know if it's this week. I don't know if it's next week. I don't know if it's a year or two from now. But like, I really like the trajectory of his game. So you're never really going to get much of a knock on him from me. What are your strategies on mass multi-entering or single entry contests on DraftKings? Again, probably something I should do some off-season content on, but I only play contests that I'm going to max enter, whether that means 20 lineups, 150, or 1. You are already putting yourself at a disadvantage if you are not max entering them. So I understand the allure of a lotto ticket to put in $10 and try to win 100,000. You are already at such a strong disadvantage. Trying to single bullet that is even worse. So I like a lot of the 3 max, the 20 max, and I love the single entries. And I love the single entries that pay 2 times the buy-in in the first payout spot. So like I don't know, but like the one that I had open earlier is the $100 long drive. Pays out $200 for the first spot, and it's a very solid structure, right? It doesn't have a huge payout at the top, but it's like first is like $3,000, then second's like $2,000, then it's like $1,500. Like it's a very just solid structure that they pay out in. All right, I'm gonna try to go through some ones that I didn't answer here. Ooh. JG just sparked a note here. Any way to see golfers' betting returns throughout the year similar to against the spread for a football team? What would that look like? That's kind of interesting, right? So I guess if you said, okay, I bet 100 on the golfers, you know, so you bet it every week to win top 5, top 10, top 20, something like that. What would that return? I might be able to work with something like that. It's a great idea, JJ. I'll look into it. Jock Market Android. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. What lineup build do you prefer this week? Stud and 7Ks or balanced? I prefer probably starting the 9K range. Can you show the most accurate drivers? Also, no worries about Answer playing in Mexico under added pressure. All right, so I'll pull up the accurate drivers, but no, I'm not concerned about that because every time he goes to Mexico, he's been awesome, right? So he finished like 12th at the WGC Mexico. He has like 3 top 20 finishes here, including an 8th place finish last year. No, I do not have that. The guy's an absolute stone cold killer, and I love the way he plays. I don't have any concern about that. So this is, there might be some really small sample size in this, but I'll show you here accurate drivers. So John has hit 78% of his fairways. Of course, that is, I think he's only got a few rounds under his belt. Satoshi Kodaira, Bo Van Pelt, Russ Henley, Ches Reavie, Tyler Duncan, Denny McCarthy, Henrik Norlander, Chris Baker, Abraham Answer. Those are your accurate drivers of the golf ball. Carlos Ortiz. Yeah, I just talked about Carlos Ortiz a couple of minutes ago. Very interesting. Graphite, you don't look 60. I know. That's what I said, right? Like, but here's the thing. When you go for a fitting and you just dial it in, right? You do, okay, now take this shaft that's a little bit shorter. Now take this head. Now let's, flatten this out 2 degrees. Now let's try graphite. And you're just hitting into a simulator over and over and over again. And consistently the numbers are better and they're graphite. You're like, well, I guess I got to play these now. It's crazy. Rick, you're the man. Favorite golfer under 7K? I kind of want to go real deep and go with Cameron Piercy. I bet him to be top Australian. I kind of want to go real deep there. Brody says, asked this earlier, Berger or JT? I mean, in a vacuum, it's JT, right? I mean, obviously there's a million other factors in place, like the rest of your lineup and salary, but like it's obviously JT. Answer was born in McAllen, Texas. That's right. He was born in McAllen. He grew up in Mexico. He has dual citizenship. He moved back, I believe, when he was like 14 or 15 to go to get ready to start playing college golf. So yeah, he's a dual citizen. And it would be awesome if his first win anywhere, PGA Tour or European Tour, was in Mexico. I think it'd be really cool. Can you talk about accuracy and how it relates to obstacles on the course? That's from Brandon K9, who I believe is leading our one and done. So Brandon, maybe you should be giving us tips, homeboy. So it's kind of a weird course, right? So you get a couple of different like ecosystems. Some holes, I believe, they look like they're on the beach. Some look like you're in the middle of the jungle. I liken it a bit to RBC Heritage, where it's not the same, of course, but I think there are not only do you have to be in the fairway, but there are kind of preferred sides of the fairway, because you have a lot of situations where you might get overhanging limbs or something like that. Robert Griffin III just rushed the ball for like this is crazy what's happening over here. How do I feel about Straka? He's whatever. He pops like a couple times a year. I don't, not that interested. Who are you building the majority of your lineups around? One guy, maybe 5 medium guys. I'm not going to give the whole lineup. But guys that I'm building around include, of course, Answer. They include Hovland. They include even Cam Piercy. And I know it's crazy to kind of build around that, but like if I'm designating between some of those guys, and I think that he's a really good value, and it might burn me, that's fine. But yeah, those are the guys I'm kind of dealing with. All right, guys, let's call it Mayakoba live stream. Couple of things. Download and play on Jock Market. It's now available on Android. I'll find out if it's available in Canada or what's going on. It's phenomenal. There is a crazy game going on right now. I don't know what's going on. And it's a lot of fun. Golf this week. Football, of course. Basketball will be back soon. Support those guys. It supports them. It supports me. It supports the industry. I love it. Additionally, you have like 12 hours maybe to get in on this Mexico deal. So just to recap this, RickRunGood.com/Mexico. If you buy a 6-month or a yearly membership right now, this is the only promo I do every year. I will bet you. I'm betting you. So whatever the winning score is in Mayakoba, I will refund that percentage to you of your membership. So that means if you pay $100 for a 6-month subscription and the winning score is 18 under par, I will send you 18% back. I will send you $18 back. That's the gamble. It's a lot of fun. If it gets to 25 under, 30 under, you guys made out like bandits. If it's like 12 under, I probably win the deal. But it's the only time I discount. If you're an existing member, you can still do it. Go sign up and then email me and I'll adjust your account manually. Much appreciated. This has been fun. There's going to be plenty of off-season content. There are going to be plenty of off-season revamps to the website. The tools that you're going to see in 3 weeks are going to blow your freaking mind. It's going to be phenomenal stuff. If you're in the Slack channel, in the Rick Run Good Slack channel, because you're a member, you guys will be testing them first. So I will be asking for your input, making sure nothing breaks, all that good stuff. Should be a lot of fun. On your way out, hit the like button. I should have said that at the start before like 10 people left. Hit the like button. It helps me, goes a long way. Much appreciated. Yeah, go win a lot of money. Go have fun. I'll see you guys later.